Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug, what is up?
Well, I don't know about you, but I am not deeply inspired like your good morning is today. But a slow start is okay as well, right?
My good morning is the only thing that's deeply inspired
Oh, is that
this
what
morning.
Yeah.
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 Good morning, Nicholas. You guys had a great conversation going on Friday in the comments section. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
fun to see
Yeah.
that.
Boy, oh boy. I hope you understand, my friend. It's great to come at it from different perspectives and just try to figure it all out, man. And there's no one right answer for sure. So love it.
Yeah, it facilitated more good discussion, so that was a really good. That was a really
Yeah.
good episode. Didn't watch it. Go back and watch Friday's episode of the Morning Grind. It was a good one.
I think I'm more effective typing than I am talking. So I might have
Nah.
to step down out of this role here.
Yeah, potato, tomato. Morning, Adam. Glad to have you guys along. So we're talking first or last impression. Is it both? Have you earned that right all the way along? Was working a concert last night, right? So we can doing a missionary thing. I don't know. He plays trumpet. Don Shire Ministries plays trumpet and does this in a bunch of countries. And he was there with a piano player. And as I'm about to start the concert, I'm running sound. I get a text message from the owner of 3JM. You working tonight? I'm working a concert. Because my buddy said there's a white GMC 3JM truck by his house. And I'm like, well, I'm parked on the corner of two of the main thoroughfares through the city. So it's a high probability that that's what he's seeing as I'm sitting here at the
Moving
church.
billboard on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Normally on Sunday we're in the wife's car, but when I have to be there well before her and well after her, I drive separately. But I bring that up because how your technicians drive, how you drive, where your van is positioned, these things can be a first impression for a customer. Along with a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, I guess your point might be as well. You're parked up on the sidewalk somewhere and you're blocking traffic a little bit, and you've got the logo of the company on there. There's some negative press towards the company, right?
Gotten phone calls, company van sitting in a bar parking lot, and that employee found themselves on the unemployment line. So,
Yeah. I remember in technical high school, HVAC, the HVAC teacher, every time we get in our little blue bus to go do a job or something like that, put some duct work up in a house, he'd always say, "Gang, the name's on the side of the bus." And he's saying, "Don't be an a-hole," when we're out in public, and there was the school name on the side of the bus. So reputation started right there and 15 years old.
Yeah, 100%. It's a good conversation starter when your appliance service van is parked in a bar parking lot. And it's not because someone is drinking. It's because you're servicing their refrigerated equipment. So
that is true. That is true.
Anyway,
absolutely.
Well, we need some prayer for this topic this morning. Absolutely. We've already devolved. Pray us up, Brother Doug.
That's it. Good morning, Lord. We are here today. Thank you for us being here today, and help us through your Holy Spirit see the blessings that we get from you each and every day. We wake up and we look around, and sometimes we miss some of them. Sometimes we take credit for some of them. Sometimes we chalk these blessings up to luck or circumstance. But Lord God, just help us direct our mind, our soul, our thoughts, and our desires onto you, and recognize that all that is good comes from you. Help us stay humble. Help us be kind to others. Help us serve others in a way that is authentic and heavenly, in a way that people will know that our desires are to serve them and to care for them and to love them, as your commandment says. And so, God, I pray for all of our listeners, our people in our industry, that if their tank is empty or half full and hope is maybe not so visible, Lord, we just pray for a filling of our spirits. And we do all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I put them up there, but good morning, Gary, Garrison, and Gasper. Appreciate you guys being alive
Adam,
with us
look at
this
Adam
morning.
doing the owner thing.
Woo. I know that's been a source of frustration for him. Sometimes being an owner isn't fun.
No,
You know?
that's why you have to coach with encouragement, then be firm and be impeccable with your word and give that final warning. And if they don't do it, then you did the best you can.
Yep.
And hopefully they see that as that you did your best you can. And if they don't, it's okay as well.
Yep.
You know, so good job, Adam, doing the right thing, probably.
100%. So as we're starting a business, these first impressions matter. I know you've gone through a couple evolutions over there at Action as you know, leadership has changed. What are some of the ways that you try and get these first impressions with a customer, and maybe it'll give us some ideas for these guys that are just starting out, just really beginning to build their company?
Well, before we get too far into it, I think, at least for us, this is how a good mindset into building and developing good first impressions. Anyway, my suggestion is do not compare yourself to your competition. Yeah. Do not know what your competition does and try to be better than them, because the bar is probably not going to be set high enough. So think about, imagine, dream what you want your business to be like and aim for that bar, and never really look at your competition, and whether they're coming close to what you do or copy what you do, or that you're so much better. When you do fail and stumble, if your first response is, well, at least we're not as bad as them, your mindset is still off. So I would just say, set your mindset on out of this park, you know, super high bar. And then the other thing is, everything that you want to do to rock the world of your customers, make sure it's duplicatable. Like, don't try things that you can't continue to sustain, because as your team grows, it's just going to be like one more trick that they're trying. So find those core things that mean so much to you. And so for us, all our scripting and everything we try to do is to strive for same day, next day service. That's what we want to be known for, and that's what the community knows us for. And when we fall short, you got to say, I'm sorry. Yeah. And you can't blame the weather. You can't blame the 3 trucks that went down. You can explain that that's what happened, but you have to let them know that's not who we are normally, and we're very sorry. You know, there was a 1-star review that came in last week, and it was a technician that had given notice, and so I had not had a chance to follow up. But what I did was assume that he did what a bunch of my techs sometimes do, is have a verbal conversation besides what was written. Like, if this doesn't fix it, or you should just call the manufacturer because it's under warranty, but they don't write that. They said that. And so the customer said, they came to collect the service fee. They said, call the manufacturer. We don't do sealed system work. So I just did a bit of assuming because I couldn't talk to my technician. I laid that response out there, and guess what, man? The guy responds back to our response and says, hogwash BS. That's not what happened. So I did a little deeper dive. He mentioned something about talking to our CSR. I listened to all the recordings, realized we blew it, that I assumed. And so I just had to kind of open and honestly acknowledge that in the Google review. And then he responded back, I'll take down the negative reviews. And he went everywhere, like 5 places. So he hasn't gone and taken them down, but I had this second chance to be authentic and make things right. And so that's another thing that we try to strive for as a lasting impression, is trying to do the right thing
Mm,
and owning our mistakes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Your first impression, and you kind of jump to the end, man. It's the beginning and the end of all of it, right? Your
It
you,
is.
your first impression. That's the only chance at a first impression. Um, I call crap on that, right? Because the reality is, like you said, the bar is pretty dang low. And so chances are, if you lose a customer, guess what? They're going to go to one of these other guys, and the bar is pretty dang low. And
Yeah.
so eventually they are going to come back around to you. Um, the real question is, have you learned the lessons you need to learn on your first impressions with customers?
Right.
So I love
Well,
that
even
you.
if someone does come back to you, now it's out of like, I have to, I have no choice. I had a less than excellent experience with Zach, tried two other places. They sucked the worst. I guess I have to go back to Zach, right? Is that the impression you want to have?
Mm,
It's not, right? So, and we will fall short often, but first impressions. I mean, any promise you make,
yeah.
you better take ownership of it if you can't deliver.
So if you're a new company and you're just starting out, um, I shared that little story in the pre-roll about being parked, and it's literally just a couple window stickers on the truck, just a little bit of vinyl decal. It ain't the greatest thing in the world, but it is something, and
Mm-hmm.
someone noticed, right? So, are you rolling around in white van syndrome? Do you have something on your vehicle that lets people know who you are, what you
Mm.
do? Um, EJ's been going through a big rebrand, and I love going into the branding, and that's not what this is about. But do make sure your vehicles have some type of branding,
Yeah.
um, so people know who you are. That is their.
Maybe you can get lucky and the rust in the side of the van looks like the word appliance. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
No, and something, even if you had nothing and they called you and they were impressed with you on the phone, when you roll up with a white van or a car or something with no lettering, you have to just know that there's a good chance they're going, and they're just taking away a little bit of trust or credibility or value in the service. You might be able to win it back, but it's certainly, I like what you said, Zach. Don't go and overdream. If you can't afford a wrap for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, just get some signage,
Yep.
and that goes a long way. I think it shows that you thought about it, and that at the level that you're at, it was the best you can do. I think I would accept that. With I'm not a customer too often, but if I needed some bathroom remodel and the guy rolls up in two station wagons, I'm going to be a little leery.
Hmm.
Shows up in a van with a magnetic sign. I'm a company that's got 20 wrapped vehicles and signed vehicles. I'm not sitting there judging him, but I know that he knows it's important, and that matters to me. So I love it. Any kind of signage shows
Yep.
you. So don't neglect those areas of first impression. Put something into it and don't overthink it.
Yep.
That's what I do. I overthink it and then I put it on the side burner. And then 6 months goes by and a year goes by and nothing gets done.
Yep.
Something done, what does Jay always say? Something done good today is better than perfection tomorrow, wherever he got that phrase from. But
Yeah.
it's a good check for us.
Yeah. Half done today is better than not done at all. So,
Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean? Like you're moving through that. Yeah, and
Mhm.
sticking on the vehicle. Exactly. Make sure your vehicle's clean inside and out. The customers do actually notice that. That is an important point there.
Yep.
What are some of the other first touch points? I'm sure Mike and Jason are going to talk about websites. Your website,
Yep.
having a professionally done website, does go a long way. That is one of
Yeah.
the first windows into your company. One of the things you guys do really well, you have in-house office staff, but you also have an answering service
Mhm.
that handles some phone calls for you. So, um, I want to go down that route, because a lot of these guys, myself included, with what I'm doing right now. Yeah, we have the office that handles most of it, but any of the leads that I generate myself, I am the answering service, right? And if
Yeah.
I am out of town and I've turned the phone off, it's just going to
Or
voicemail. So
you're up on a roof and talking with the customer, you're not going to be able to grab the phone, right?
yep.
Yeah.
So who do you have answering your phones? Is it you in between calls? Are you remembering to answer all of those
Yeah.
calls? That really is a first impression for customers. If they're having to leave multiple messages, if they're not getting return phone calls, pot kettle black. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying this is one of the first experiences that your customers will have with you.
Yeah.
Who's answering your phones? And
Yeah.
really, answering services are not super expensive. I mean, for the amount of time that it's going to save you and the amount of customers that it's going to keep from you losing, it's worth its weight in gold, man.
It kind of reminds me of like the conversation about technicians, employee versus subcontractor, and that's been a conversation for a long, long time. What, DirecTV or something like that, Dish Network, you'll see a subcontractor roll up in a white van with no logo or something like that. For our phones, we're using virtual assistants, right? And there are people, and so they train them, but then we train them the rest of the way so that they are thinking and speaking like Action Appliance. And for us, the most important thing, because if you listen to recordings, that's where your first impression can be as well, right? Like I know I've heard EJ and others say like the website is truly your, however they found you, your Google listing, your reviews, but really the first personal connection is when you make that appointment. And to hear people, and I've said this before on this podcast, to listen to phone calls and your CSR is on script, saying it's a great day, how can I help you? And then they get to the point of scheduling and the customer struggling to find a date because something terrible, like a loved one's going through a sickness and they're full of doctor's appointments. And that response from the CSR is like, well, if you're not sure, why don't you call us back when you know? And it's like, well, I think you missed there. It actually makes my heart skip a beat. What we really need to hear is, wow, you're going through a lot right now. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with a broken dishwasher. What can I do to help you find that date? My name is, Ann, and you can ask for me and I'll get you scheduled the rest of the way once you've gone through the calendar. And again, sorry you're going through that. That empathy training, you can't put that in a script. You can't do a flow chart. If they say something wonderful, like, well, I can't do it this week because my daughter's getting married, enter statement, wow, congratulations. I don't want that fakeness.
Yeah.
But I need the people that answer our phones to know that their number one job is to make a connection, to communicate very well, to never say no first, and to try to come up with a solution. So that's sort of the formula that we have. And because to me, I'm old. So that's first impressions for me. We have a great website. We have a lot of great reviews, but I feel like it's all right. So now let's pull back the curtain. And, if people have started booking online, then the website, I think, becomes a really critical piece because that's how you're going to be judged. They book online. They don't talk a human. They talk to an AI person. But then who's your first impression? I really think it's going to be the technician walking into your house and greeting you. So our CSRs have to kill it, man, in a great, great way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say the website
$9 an hour, $9 an hour can get you a really great person. I'm talking to you, Zach. For $9 an hour, once you start to build your customer base up, to have someone that's your assistant can take your calls, and the more process you teach them, can schedule appointments for you. You now have an assistant at $9 to $11 an hour, which is up here in New England really, really affordable. right? Is
anywhere.
that that's a good pay? All right, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
some of you guys with your down south accent, I'm still thinking that y'all pay about 50 cents for a Coca-Cola and
Like straight in line, buddy. Everyone forgets that Chicago is like we're
oh, that's
up
right.
here.
Okay, all right. So we're the real world. They're
Yeah,
the just kidding.
yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah.
No,
Louisiana. Whew.
so you're to your point. I like to say that the van and the website and all that, that's the first glimpse into your company. It's not truly a first impression of your company. It is. It is like you said, it's like that. Okay, here's the curtain, here's the pretty. All right, let's peel this back and
Human
really have it.
experience.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
human experience. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Good morning,
Yep.
Soul.
And it's interesting about AI. We're gonna get this thing online as a backup to when and if we can't get to everybody in the busy season on a given day. Um, and I think that some people will accept it and buy into it right away. Some will take a little longer. Like I've always been slower to not accepting things, and then there'll be always the people that just go and hang up. But we really do want to offer every option possible to people. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think you kind of hit it, that online booking. I use the crap out of online booking. I mean, I
right,
had
yeah,
more customers that booked
yeah,
online when I was doing appliance repair than anything. I mean, if you don't have online booking, get online booking. Especially if you're a solo guy right now, one or two guys. It is a fast way for customers to book those appointments. So.
about 10,
Those,
12% for us. I would have never thought it would be that high. 10 to 12%. People not even interested in who we are. Look on the website, see what we cost and what we're going to do. And they just go schedule me now.
Yep.
So pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think of it from the perspective of someone who's working, right? Like I want to be able to just go and book an appointment and be done. I don't have time to sit on the phone if I can quickly enter my information, which is half saved by Google anyway on Typefill.
Yep. Yep.
And I can just book an appointment for whatever I need done while I'm in my busy season. You know what I mean? Like I'm in that demographic that if you make it simple for me, I'm more likely to follow through.
And I have some friends, I think you might too, that are doing everything because they want it to be done perfectly their way. And they're struggling to trust other people. It takes a lot of money for the phone to ring. And if you're putting an intense amount of energy into, I can't lose one potential call when that phone rings, so I can't trust anyone else to answer it. There's going to be no way you can sustain doing it. And as soon as it goes to voicemail, there's a good chance phone tag is coming or never getting back to them. And so, yeah, would you talk to them differently? Would you explore a little bit into their problem and get them really excited? Like, okay, I found the right company, man. Zach, you seem to know my machine really well. I'm glad I found you. See you tomorrow. That is great, but that's not sustainable unless that's what you want to do in your business.
Yep.
Then you better find someone to fix them for you. You can't be all of the parts of your company forever and ever. So,
well, and you can, I mean, you can only do so much, right? Like it's one of my lessons for next year as I have some squirreled away. I'm going to make sure that I have set aside some money to be able to pay a answering service, because this brain, while it can retain a lot, I don't always remember to call people back. And if you don't give me your name, like, hey, call me back. Who?
Yeah.
What? Leave some information. So having someone in place to do that is definitely not a sustainable thing.
And you might be a little different than, say, Zach of Gordon's Appliance, because I don't know that you have a ton of control over setting price. Can I assume that?
No.
And so you have to take the budget that you get from selling your jobs and try
Yep.
to figure out where you want to spend and set your profit margin. But if you're setting your prices, well, it's really easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
$9 an hour times 40 hours times 4, no taxes, no payroll taxes. That's a virtual assistant for you. How many jobs do you do in a month? Divide that by 4, and then how many jobs a day, and then just that's $5 extra every single service call I have to get. If I get that, then I will have the $900 a month I need for that person to be my voice when I'm unavailable, and take it to the next level for you.
For sure. For sure. So as we're coming towards the end, I want to move into that it doesn't have to be the last impression. So how do we recover from a bad first impression? How do we recover when we haven't wowed the customer that first time around? What does it look like to come back from that? And I guess I jumped. I do want to answer Gasper's question. Do you put your chip charge and collect credit card at the time of online booking? If I had to do it again, yes. Like, if I had to do it all over again, if I was going back and doing the appliance repair thing again and had the online booking again, which I absolutely would, I would make sure that there was a way to pay the credit card at the time of the online booking, because being in on the customer side of something like that, like, okay, great, that's taken care of. Now I just have to worry about whatever it is to repair it. I've already booked the appointment. I'm done. That part's good. Now I just have to pay whatever it is to fix the machine. So yes, I would absolutely do it again. Make sure your cancellation policy is extremely clear when doing that.
And be prepared to be flexible with that cancellation policy as well. You don't really want a 1-star for the 100th person, and they complain a little bit. It's easier just to, I've heard anyway. I do a lot of networking, Zach, and I've never heard anyone say, I did this and I saw an immediate or huge impact in a negative way. So that tells me that it doesn't seem like it will end your business. It does. I do think that when I've talked to a lot of people who do it, they don't have some metrics in place, which is fine, but they don't have a cancellation rate in place. They don't know what their average typical call volume is month to month, or conversion rate on booking as a CSR. But what they are saying is, I have plenty of service calls.
Right.
And I'm never falling short. And so for that reason, you just have to know that you're likely to have 1 to 2 to 5 people, whatever, a small number, say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. And technicians always would say, I don't think that should have been a walk, Doug. They said they had to talk to their husband, and I know they're definitely going to fix it. And, they believe for sure that call is going to come back around, but they're already into the next call and the next call, and they don't know their numbers. And they don't know that, probably more than half the time they don't call you back. Or maybe they do, but it's not sustainable. You want to be able to make sure you're capturing every opportunity with offering a lot of options. So we haven't switched yet, but I bet you it wouldn't move the needle too much on us to do it. And I don't know that it actually saves the cancellation rate too much, but it's cool. Gasper, you do it and let me know how it goes.
I honestly think that you're going to catch a certain demographic that you want to work with, that it's going to work really well for. And so people that you would have lost to an extent, you're just going to capture them right away. And they could end up being some of your best customers because you made it simple. You wowed them. Right. Yeah. And now you've earned a customer for life. Dude, it was so easy to book with Action Appliance. Like, I don't know why I ever went with anyone else. I was having to go through phone trees all the time. And all I did was just go online and book it. And I paid my diagnostic fee up front. And then it was just parts and labor when they came out. Like, that was so easy. You know what I mean? Like, so you have a chance at creating a customer for a lifetime.
W-
That really
a matter
does
of fact,
become a
we got like 3 1-star. That's kind of how it works. You get a whole bunch of 5, and then you just get a spurt of like, you're terrible. And one of the 3, besides the one that we took ownership to, he was a landlord and a tenant, and we have a rule that you put your credit card on file, and that we'll run the service fee or the repair when we're done. And he was upset that we ran the credit card and said that we didn't make it clear to him that even though he's putting a card on file, he is going to be charged something. And there it is. It's the 1-star. So you can go find that. And so there's an example, but I'm not going to react and respond to one time. I'm not going to make a conclusion to say that's why I don't like putting cards on file and running in advance, because they're going to just blow up on me. They're all going to anyway. You save somebody from canceling because they've committed by paying. That's one less loss, but you might miss 1 or 2 that when they go to book, I'm not going to pay a company that I don't know. And you're going to lose 1 or 2 anyway. So I feel like it's an interesting thing. And if I was a small company, I probably would do it for sure. So then you don't have to worry. It's like automated almost. It's a streamlined thing. The card's now on file. They want to go ahead with the repair, but they're at the doctor's office and they're in the waiting room. The card's already there for payment. It makes a lot of sense to do it, I think.
Yeah, anywhere you can make it simple for a customer, you're gonna have that chance to wow them. You're gonna have that chance to really impress them and earn business in the long haul. So back to
but Zach, lasting impression is not getting the repair that day. That is not, or getting money that day. That is not the goal. The goal is a lifelong relationship with that customer.
Exactly.
Kind of trust that if half of your customers all referred you in the next year or 2 to one person, and you did 1,000 or 1,500 calls that year, that's $400 more calls you'll get because of the great work you did. And so it's not about being right ever. It's never about being right. It's about getting the customer to agree on a reality that's reasonable for both of you. And so avoid the conflicts and the fights. Be impeccable with, oh my God, it's the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Assume the best of everyone. And when the day's done, sometimes we bring in $2,000 without even trying. And that was a great day. That was the best day you can do. The next day, all kinds of hurdles and challenges and problems, and the moon's aligned with Jupiter, and there's the craziest customers, and you bring in $600 for the day, and you worked your butt off. That was the best you could do on that day. And so you have to start fresh day after day. So be impeccable with your word, assume the best of others, don't make it personal ever, and do your best. That's a lasting impression, I think.
So how do we?
That's the best book ever, Zach. Say it. Just say
the best poster ever. Because you summed up the entire book, and that's all you really need to know.
That's it. Those 4 principles.
So how do we recover? How do we get that secondary chance with a customer? How do we wow them on that? How are we impeccable with our word in those moments? We've all had customers come back around because they've tried everyone on the block and they end up back at us and they feel kind of stuck. And so how do we learn from our mistakes, or how do we wow that customer that's returning, right? Because our goal is lifelong relationships with customers.
Yeah.
What
McDonald's figured it out, Zach. It's the most disgusting tasting, awesome, food addicting fast food crap out there for sure, right? And the reality is I think they've mastered it because they're consistent. Every time you go, more or less, you know what you're going to expect, the level of expectation, and they've kind of got it figured out. Because think about it. Imagine taking Gordon's Appliance or Gasper Appliance Works and opening up 1,500 chains or franchises of your business. The only way to have that lasting impression is to make sure you've got your system in place and it's consistent and they know what to expect. Anytime I've had customers upset, it's because their expectations weren't lined up with ours. And so if you can set a standard in your region, in your area, and it's really good stuff that they know they can count on 99% of the time. When you have a hiccup, it's like the way I handle it when I go to McDonald's, man. Like, they should fire that person because I know what their standard is, and they didn't repeat back the order. They didn't give me eye contact, but I know what they typically do. So, or Chick-fil-A is probably a better example of that. But, you had a little hatred towards Chick-fil-A, Zach?
No, towards McDonald's. I was thinking about the drab, gray
burger,
unhappiest place on the planet. No.
And they should have went out of business, but they haven't, because of their process, their system, their consistency, and expectations are spelled out. Walmart's done the same thing. Help is terrible now. It's miserable. They're so grouchy that they're there. They take it out on us, but their pricing and what's in stock is the expectation, and that's why we go there. And as long as they keep meeting that, if they start to raise their price, or not have everything in stock like they typically do, then I think that we're going to start to be more critical of their crappy help, right? Or their method of training help. So again, it's all that we can do is figure out our core focuses that we want to be known for. And if we can consistently do those core things, and they shouldn't be more than 3 to 7. What are 3 to 7 things that not set you apart, but make and identify what's great about you? What's your secret sauce? 3 to 7 things. Work on those 3 to 7 things. You can always do other stuff, but make sure those 3 to 7 things are perfect. And I don't know, some of those guys on here may not give 2 craps about same day, next day service, because they do a lot of warranty work, because they're booked out a couple weeks. They don't have to talk to customers. Maybe they go right into Service Power, Service Bench, and you just show up and they're a little mad because they had to wait a week and a half, and you're just really kind and nice to them, and you smooth it over and say, hey, it's the best what we can do. We don't have any control over that. You're pushing the blame somewhere else because it isn't your problem. But everyone has their own type of business, their own type of customer, their own. So what are those 3 to 7 things that you want to be known for, and not compared to with your competition, but to be excellent at? That's that to me sounds more like a bar that you're setting. Like, as long as I don't fall below that.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
See, Andrew, I think, wants to never fail in diagnosing and repairing. I feel like Andrew sets a bar really high for excellence in actual service of the appliance, as well as customer service. But I could be assuming things about Andrew.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the consistency. So if you're starting or trying to really level up your business, figuring out how to get consistent in everything you do, especially as you add technicians on and stuff like that, like, you want to make sure that it is repeatable. You want to make sure that those customers are getting that same type of experience, because, I've said it before, 80% of the way that you would do it is still 100% of you not doing it. And so how do we get those main things, those customer experience things, consistent, so that even if someone's doing it at 80% of our level, the customer still feels like they were served well, and they received value from having your company come in and service whatever it is you're servicing for them. It is important to figure out how to get that consistent. So, and we'll be talking about that more in the coming weeks, as far as putting procedures in place and what procedures we think you should put in place. If we had to do it all over again, where would we have started?
Sure.
And so, yeah, I think that consistency, if you get a chance at a second impression with a customer, making sure that experience is consistent.
Well, again, not to beat a dead horse, you can't be consistent at 2,147 things that you desire to do or be. Like Dan's comment, right? If you do mostly warranty and you really care about same day, next day, then that just means, Dan, that when you start to see your appointments booking out a week or two, whether you want to do it or not, you need to go and hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You need to bring on another person, and you need to teach them the Dan way, to continue that core focus. But if it's just like, yeah, we should all strive for that. But when it's not hitting, not just one day, but in a season, you need to do something about it. And if you say, I don't think it's something I want to take a risk or chance on, then I don't think it's one of your core focuses for your business. But Dan, if it was yours, my friend, and we get to hang out once a week, if that is one that you really mean and care for, then I'll make sure I check in with you, and that you might have to expand and grow and have employees, which is like having kids, and then you have to punish them, and then they collect unemployment on you, and then they say bad things about you behind you. No, okay, well,
you're going through it, aren't you, Doug?
Well, no.
Well, 42-minute podcast, and Saul summed it up in one line. Thanks. We're out. Answer your phones, follow up, be kind, and hear your customers. Simple but effective. I mean, it really is. That really sums up everything that we've said.
Okay, Jay Jr. It's not that simple, Saul. It's not even close to that simple, man.
That's the core tenets of it, though.
Yes, that is.
Yeah. This Saturday is the next mastermind. So if you're not an all access member yet, servicealliancegroup.com, become an all access member. We are doing these masterminds monthly. This month is Marketing 101, ways to help you bring more customers in. And Mike Carson is leading that. And then Sunday, we all jet off to Virginia for PSA, where we'll be leading 5 classes on business. So if you are in the East Coast area, or really anywhere in the country and want to go, come and join Service Alliance Group at PSA. It's going to be a good time. So
great.
That's all I got for the day. Mike and Jason are back tomorrow on the Morning Grind, talking about more ways to wow your customers. See you next week, guys.
Bye, guys.